Halloween didn't just bring out the ghouls and goblins. It also brought out the suspected white supremacist women who thought that it would be a cool idea to wear blackface. And all I have to say to that is, how creative. Anyway, we got a lot to dig into with this topic. I'm your host, Cool Colas, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. So let's go ahead and get into it. I really don't know what it is, but for some reason on this Halloween, there was just a lot of just random racist acts in general that were going on. Because you even had these suspected white supremacist headlight scratching ass children who were walking around trick-or-treating, ringing black people's doorbells and saying the hard ER. So it was a lot of stuff going on. And then you had, again, the suspected white supremacist women who decided to wear black face paint and mock black people. The internet got to buzzing recently, and a lot of what they were saying was that they were seeing these different images of suspected white supremacist women mainly wearing blackface paint. And I want to kind of do an analysis here real quick on why that is and what's actually happening here. So the thing that you all need to understand is that these suspected white supremacist women, these headlight scratching, meth smoking, mayonnaise eating, suspected white supremacist women were not doing this because of humor. They were doing this because they were trying to get some form of shock value. Now, what some of them will probably attempt to do is say that, you know, if Drewski can do whiteface, then I can do blackface. You know, there'll be some of them that'll try to cop a plea and try to do that shit. But we need to really break that down as well, too. The reality is that when Drewski did the skit that he did, he was in character of mocking a white hillbilly. So there was, again, a level of creativity to it. He was actually dressed up in costume that was believable to some of these dumbass suspected white supremacists who did not know that he actually was a black man who was dressed as somebody who was white. And I want to be clear too, this whiteface shit is bullshit. Anytime you see a lot of these suspected white supremacists who will use terms like black fatigue or whiteface or things like that, they're just using these deflection talking points that aren't real systemic things, because the whole black fatigue thing was based off of black people being fatigued by the racism that they were experiencing at the hands of suspected white supremacists like the people who use these terms. Just like with whiteface, these were white people trying to create some type of answer to the fact that there was blackface. But there is no systemic thing around whiteface, because white people have never been systemically oppressed by black people in any sort of fashion. And they especially have not been oppressed by foundational black Americans in America. So when you hear a white person talk about whiteface, they can't equate it to blackface, because blackface is based off of a minstrel image that was created by white people during Jim Crow to mock black people in a negative, disparaging, and an oppressive way. There was no system where white people were oppressed. So that's some bullshit to begin with. But going back, as I said before, these suspected white supremacists were not doing this because of the fact that they are trying to create humor. They were doing this because they want to create some type of shock value. And I want to specifically talk about Lily Gaddis just for a second. There's a white female YouTuber named Lily Gaddis, and she's conservative, and she talks about a lot of politics and all this other shit, right? And she decided to do blackface on her channel, and then she posted as a caption for her video that she's not going to apologize, basically. So she's clearly doing this because she's trying to appeal to that suspected white supremacist crowd who kind of likes to see things like that because it's so shocking, and as somebody who just dared to be different in a world where we're always talking about social justice. Before we go further, let's just talk about the psychology of this all for a second. One thing that you need to understand about the white women in the dominant society is that when they have been deemed to be losers who are talentless hacks and have nothing that they can do that's useful to society, and their mere presence is actually expendable. What a lot of them do is lean into things that are shocking in order for them to get a bag or to be successful in some way. So what some of these suspected white supremacist women do is they either heavily lean into one or two things. And that's either some type of OnlyFans or something that has them scantily clad, or they lean directly into racism. This is not to say that every single woman who chooses to do OnlyFans is a talentless hack, but a lot of these suspected white supremacist women who really have it in them are, and they'll lean directly into that. As a matter of fact, I'll go as far to say that there's a pipeline between the two. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of these OnlyFans models aren't actually liberal women. Not saying that there aren't liberal white women who do this, but there's a lot of very conservative white women who actually get into that whole pornography type of world. But the point that I'm trying to make with all that is, a lot of times these suspected white supremacist women have already showed traits of this even back when they were in college and when they were in school, because these are the same white women who will be all up on the dinglings of the black football players and basketball players and everybody like that, getting trains ran on them and all types of stuff. And then these same women years and years later, when they got out of school, became these alt-right or just conservative white women who claim that they now have these traditional values. What I'm getting at is, despite the fact that they're saying that they're conservative, traditional, and all this other stuff, the hoe was in them. But going back to Lily Gaddis, my point is that I can tell that she also fits this archetype as well too, because for her to do something like that, it shows that she is someone who has to lean into racism in order for her to have some type of popularity, notoriety, success, or money. She's almost like a much less talented Tiffany Stratton, because Tiffany Stratton is already not really all that in wrestling. And I noticed that even when it comes to her promos really aren't spectacular. I mean, she says Tiffy every 5 fucking seconds. And then anytime that somebody gets her on something or has a one-up on her in some way, she leans directly into racism in order to get any type of notoriety and popularity. Because when she was having beefs with Jade and Bianca and all them, what did she do? She went on the internet and did the black bitch joke about Jade. And then when the young black man that is in the audience said that she better keep her title warm for Naomi, she didn't have a good comeback because, again, she's useless and she doesn't have any real mic skills, although people hype her the fuck up. And she called this black man a boy. That's what they do. They lean into racism when they don't have shit else to say. But going back, this whole blackface thing is literally for them to be shocking and polarizing so they can gain the attention and even the respect from the racist crowd, because they know that they can't gain respect in any other way. So when we look at somebody like Lily Gaddis and even some of the other individuals who decided that they were going to do this racist blackface image, I noticed that it wasn't even creative. So going back to the Drewski thing, even if we wanted to try to compare it to that, there's no creativity there because these women were just wearing the face paint. Speaking of everything I'm talking about, I just thought about this. When it comes to Rachel Dolezal, who just, again, was the top of the top when it came to appropriating black people and pretending to be black, it's interesting how she fits into this pipeline as well, too, because she started off mimicking our likeness in some way and pretending to be us, to shaking her ass on OnlyFans. It's kind of interesting how that worked out. And the thing is that these statements just kind of write themselves sometimes, because one of the suspected, whatever you want to call it, white supremacist women who was doing the blackface paint, she actually was a meth smoker. So it's kind of interesting how all these things kind of flow into each other. You know, being racist, eating mayonnaise, smoking meth, doing blackface, it all kind of just blends together. Again, this shit just writes itself. Now, one thing I do want to mention, not every one of these broads who decided that it was a cool idea to do blackface was actually white. As a matter of fact, one of them was mixed. One of them was partially black. And it makes me wonder if one of her parents was actually FBA. Because to me, I'm seeing this and I'm wondering, would a foundational Black American parent have been okay with their kid doing some bullshit like this? But anyway, that's neither here nor there right now. Let's just talk about that. So one of the chicks who actually decided that she was going to do blackface, she is not white. She's white passing, and she's actually mixed. And if you go on her Twitter, X, whatever you want to call this shit at this point, she actually has a lot of tweets where she talks about how she has a lot of contempt for the Black community because they basically didn't accept her for being Black. And somehow she's living in Disneyland believing that she's actually white herself when really she's just a tool of white supremacy. And that's really all it is. So she's going around, you know, looking like a minstrel show and whatnot because she has a lot of bitter hatred and anger towards Black people. And she decided that she was going to mimic the culture and basically try to create some type of attention from that in some way. So basically, this bitch is a more anti-Black Drake. My point in saying this is that people like Lily Gaddis's old man-looking ass don't surprise me when they go around and they do the blackface paint, because ultimately we know that y'all's asses have the potential to be racist. So to do that is not really any type of real shock to us. It's just more so entertaining to other suspected white supremacists who are probably watching it from their local trailer park and are just enjoying what you're doing. It's a little bit more shocking to some of these other liberal whites that you would do something like that, which creates a stir. But us as Black people, we already know y'all's asses are racist. We're not really checking for all that, right? So you all do what you do. Let us know that you're racist so we can continue to try to get you up out the paint and let everybody know what you're all about. Speaking of getting people up out the paint, I just wanted to say this too. It's interesting how that video that Lily Gaddis did is actually still up, because I'm looking back and I'm like, YouTube, you guys do all types of shit to some of these other Black creators who were talking about things such as anti-racist behavior and replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. And a lot of these Black male creators would talk about issues with Black men and they'll get popped off of YouTube like my man Layman's. But we all, and there were a lot of us who were going around and reporting Lily's video, y'all decided that y'all were just going to keep the shit up. So what's up with that? And I bet you she's still making money off that damn video too. Anyway, y'all, hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I definitely will have more to come in the future, so make sure you stay tuned. In the meantime, I would love it if you like this video, subscribe, share it, and also hit the bell icon so you get notifications for whenever we come out with new content on this channel. And then when you are finished, leave me a comment below. That way I can get back to whatever it is that you had to say about this topic. Other than that, I will talk to y'all later. Peace out, y'all.